All right, we're doing it. You know what? I see myself in this article and I don't like it, but we're doing it. Programmers should stop celebrating incompetence. In the valiant efforts to combat imposter syndrome and gatekeeping, the programming world has taken a bad turn down a blind alley by celebrating incompetence. You don't have to reduce an entire profession to a clueless gang of copy pasta pirates to make a new recruits feel welcome. It undermines the aspiration to improve. It reduces the work to magical thinking. It is not good. That is so good already off the rip. I know it's 20. I already know this is 2021 and this is not that great, but man, that was so good. That is so dang good, people. It really is because, dude, the meme that I hate the most on the internet is the one that's like, junior engineer, I don't know how this code works, and then senior engineer, neither do I. It's like, no, you do. Don't tell that to a junior that their life is hopelessly spent in this swirl of magical, I can't understand anything for the rest of my life, and I'll never actually be able to code, and I'll have to struggle at all times, at all places. If anything, it just makes our industry 10,000 times worse to say that you don't understand things as a senior. It makes it so much worse. I'm happy I don't sit there and copy pasta code all day. I am happy that I can program for hours on end and just be in the zone and enjoy the moment and enjoy what I'm trying to build and try to think through the architecture as opposed to being like, how do I write a for loop? How do I do an if statement? How do I create a struct? I think people are just joking. The problem is I know people are just joking, but there's this whole damn movement, right? Let's see. You have to understand how it works. Have you ever tried quaternions? I used to do it by hand. By hand, I used to be able to take a quaternion, and you could give me a point plus a camera position, and I could give you the quaternion to rotate it to whatever position you would like me to do it by hand. Cross product, by heart. Dot product, easy peasy. Do it now. I haven't done it in 15 years. So yeah, I can't. So guess what? You can learn it. It's easy. It's not hard. It just takes time. There are things that are hard, right? I'll probably never understand quantum computers. I'll probably never get a degree in physics and whatever the hell you need. But computer stuff, like, these are not crazy. These are not crazy things. Like, you shouldn't tell people that there's somehow just some impossibility out there. I just hate it. A marriage is harder than general purpose AI. Facts on facts on facts. It's not magic. Anyways, sorry, I just get really pumped up about this because I actually fully agree with this statement. We should be super into, like, telling people that they can get better, right? That there is actually I don't care if people call it gatekeeping. If you can't write programming for an hour without, like, going up and looking up every detail, you suck at programming. Get better. You get better by doing it for years. Like, that's okay. We all sucked at some point. Everybody sucks at some point, and it's okay. CSS, on the other hand, you can always look up because it's a write-only language. Everybody knows that. That's why God invented Tailwind. Yeah, CSS, you write it. That's why there's the same class 9,000 times in CSS. Every place, honestly, crack open your work CSS files and tell me you don't just see duplication after duplication because ain't nobody's reading other people's CSS. Every last person just simply writes their own CSS for their own thing. That's it. I'm sorry. It's always been that way. That's why doing utility classes has always been better. It just is. It's not that it's great. It's not that I like it. It's not, there's no other way to make it not suck as much, right? I say this, an evaluation of the prescription, not of the diagnosis. The programming world absolutely has had and still has challenges with imposter syndrome and gatekeeping, in large part because, unlike so many other professional fields, a high percentage of the people working in programming are self-taught, including yours truly. Imposter syndrome has always been a big question mark to me, in the sense that like you learned how to program. Remember that time when you didn't know how to program and you actually learned how to program, like how hard that leap was? Remember that one time you didn't know how to do recursion and then you struggled and you finally figured out how recursion works? Apply it. The next thing you're about to do is going to be hard, but you have learned it. You will still be able to learn the next thing. Like, goodbye, bye imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome can be easily defeated by recounting your abilities. And where you feel like, hey, I'm lacking in this area, that's not imposter syndrome. That's just reality. You can solve that problem like you solved all your other problems. You can learn something because you already learned recursion. You've already learned programming. You already learned how classes work, how functions work. So all of a sudden, are you just going to get completely bamboozled because you got to make a database connection? You're going to have to learn how to do HTTP? Come on, man. That's ridiculous. That's for gosh darn ridiculous to think that somehow, after learning the hardest parts of programming, which is translating syntax into semantics, you figured that shit out and now you're going to get defeated by a REST request? Dude, come on. Absolutely ridiculous. When you don't have a diploma from a prestigious institution telling you and the world that you know things and you are good at things, by the way, the worst people I've ever worked with, well, I can specifically think of one person that had a Harvard degree, and it was by far the single worst experience I've ever worked with. The pretentiousness followed by the absolute utter laziness just made me want to cry. Me being from Montana State University, a university with no prestigiousness, with no highfalutin society, yet I felt absolutely better. Coconut oiled from head to toe without the pretentious bullshit and was able to clearly run laps around it. 2.16 high school GPA, 3.54 college. Lather it up, boys. It's only natural to occasionally have doubts, especially if there are people within your profession who have used their diplomas as a logical fallacy to prove why they're right and you are wrong. If anyone ever tells you that they are right because they went to a university, dude, the amount of times I hear people say, "Oh, that can't happen. Yeah, I got a Bachelor of Arts in kinesiology. Trust me, I know all about the human body." You're like, "Yo, bro, you took the intro course. Cool. Like that doesn't work." The worst people on earth are bachelors of science people, including computer scientists. You know just enough to say words, but you don't actually know things. And you think you know things. You are the midwit. I am the midwit. MBAs fall under the midwit curve as well. You're not an imposter, you're a midwit. There's a huge difference. A midwit is the expert beginner. A midwit is somebody who has just enough IQ to say all the complicated words, but think they know everything, so they do all the complicated things. Whereas the super stupid person and the really smart person are just like, yeah, it's cool, I'm not gonna do it. But you can't let that doubt win. You can't become, I have no idea what I'm doing, dog, as a professional identity. Please stop with that. It's the worst trope of all of software engineering. Tweets coming. I can feel it. Tweets coming. Tweets coming. It's coming. It's happening. Here we go. Here we go. The worst trope of programming is the I don't know what I am doing senior. They do. And at some point, you will too. It's dishonest. How do I say it? It's just like the shittiest thing. If you don't know what you are doing, gosh, I feel like I have it in me, but I don't know how to say it. It's like so cringe. They are the worst. I don't know how to say it. I know there's something in me. There's something in me. There's a dog in me that's wanting to come out. I just don't know how to say it. That's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna leave it for later. Don't embrace being a copy pasta programmer whose chief skill is looking up shit on the internet. Treat it as part of a learning process to actually understand what's going on, not merely as a shortcut to solve today's problem. If you never dig deeper, your competence will be stuck at the surface. Let's go. Likewise, influential programmers who do have the hard-earned skills and accumulated knowledge to repeatedly create good software need to resist the temptation of presenting a yes, I too am a no little copy pasta dummy, just like you facade. Whatever gains you derive from being relatable to someone struggling must be weighed against infusing the industry with a sense of futility of deep learning. I love it. The futility of deep learning. That phrase right there is literally describes, I would say, today's tech Twitter, right? How many people here? How about this one? Chat, we're gonna do a little experiment. Who here best language is JavaScript? One in the chat if your best language is JavaScript. Okay, so we got some ones in here. We got a lot of zeros, but you got a lot of ones. Okay, got a lot of zeros, but we got some ones. More zeros than ones. Okay, when I say JavaScript, I mean TypeScript as well. Are you telling me that, okay, everyone spam your best language, since I don't know. Your best language is the one you know the best, right? We got a lot of Pythons, a lot of PHPs, Java, Haskell, a lot of Python. First order logic, yeah, right, dummy. All right, how about this one? If you had to turn off your LSP, you had the program in Notepad. Could you read a file line by line, convert each line into a number, and sum up the file without looking on the internet? I see some no's in there. There's some no's in there. Fix that. Learn your language, right? Learn your language. It's not hard. Yeah. Since Prime is not here, I would like to take the time to tell chat, lather yourself in coconut oil and have a great day. Hey, thank you, Eccentric Note. I appreciate that. I'm gonna try to get that thing that like Doug and Thor has, where I can press play, because I always miss the bits and they don't get to play out loud. And so I want to be able to control it. So like during this talk, and when I'm recording this, it doesn't interrupt that thing. And then afterwards, I can just press play and be like, bump, 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 you know. Because I always feel so bad. Like, you don't get your TTS. Is it called Streamer Bots? Yeah, I have no idea what it's even called. I like Doug, though. The Doug is sweet. What do you mean by converting a line into a number? What I mean is that let's pretend you had a file that is filled with numbers, line by line numbers. Can you read in the file and correctly add all the numbers together? Didn't Thor make his own software for that? No, I think he uses something like StreamerBot. We love Doug. Everyone loves Doug. Everybody loves Doug. I'm a huge fan, personally. Hey, thank you. In fact, I only learned about Doug because of the Streamer Awards. I was shocked to find out, you know? Well, most people can't figure out how to write something without, like, looking stuff up. Can you go LSP-less in an editor and write that without looking anything up? I think a lot of people would not be able to do it. Like, it's very, very simple in JavaScript. Like, how well do you know your language? Most people don't know their language, right? Just thing. Anyways, okay, let's get back into this. The magic of programming is largely just things you don't know yet. Once you learn those things, it stops being magic in the sense of, I have no idea how it did that or why it works, and starts being magic in the sense of, I can make the computer do exactly what I asked to do it. The point is to become a wizard, not the bedazzled member of the audience. Oh, beautiful. It's so true. This is absolutely right. This is 100% right. I think DHH and I actually have way more in common than I initially realized. Because initially when I saw DHH's writing, I just didn't like how I didn't like a lot of the language he used. Now I'm totally like, I think some of the language is really good. Like, this is a really good phrase. And all of a sudden I started liking his takes more and more. And this was just good. Isn't DHH going to be on the stream soon? He is going to be on the stream soon. DHH is my lost brother. I feel like we do have more in common than I realized. You know, I think that's the thing, is that when you take the time to actually learn about somebody, you realize that they're actually more like you than you realize, right? And you're more like other people. You know, this does not happen overnight. By the way, there is one thing, like, this is so, you know, my next course on boot.dev is going to be from TCP to HTTP. And the reason why is that so many people look at HTTP as being magic. It's actually really, really simple. Like, it's not magic. It's just so obvious how these things work. And when you understand how headers, bodies, the difference between get and post, like, it is actually pretty like, oh yeah, okay. Well, even SSL and TLS aren't magic. Like, have you ever written RSA? It's not magic RSA. It's just complicated. Like, I couldn't invent the math because I'm not that, I don't study math for a living, but it's not crazy hard. Pick two large primes, is probable prime, find the inverted, the matrix inverse, the -1 in whatever, and then toss it in some math and bada bing, bada boom. RSA is the easiest algo. It's not the easiest algo, okay, but it is a very easy algo. I would say that binary search is probably the easiest algorithm to do. I could binary search an array any day of the week, okay? I can binary search an array any day of the week. An airplane going down, and they're like, quickly! Hey! Anybody in here can write binary search from scratch? We need them right now. I could do it. Do it right now. Easy. This does not happen overnight, and we need to have the confidence to accept that our profession has depth. Dude, not just confidence, the excitement. The reality that we have a profession where you could just get up and learn something new that's actually useful. Come on. Tell me that's not awesome. Like, that's one of the best feels I have, is that I haven't hit the maximum, right? There's still more left. There's still more RPG left. I still got some stats to go, like, level up. And grinding is not like in these other games where every single level becomes significantly harder. It's like a linear grind. It just keeps on, or it's like a constant grind where every single time you study something for 10 hours, you actually get out, you like come out better every time. It's so good. It's the world's greatest RPG. Even as we celebrate the ease with which someone can get started and welcome them into the journey of becoming a wizard, it doesn't, let's see, it also doesn't happen across the domains of programming. You can't become an expert at everything, and it's fine to accept your boundaries, but it's not fine to think you shouldn't be on some path towards mastery. And if you intend to make programming your career, OYES. We also need to accept that not all wizard apprentices turn out to be equal talent or end up with equal levels of competence. Just like in every other field of human pursuits, you can learn the basic rules of chess in a few minutes, but you can also spend a lifetime mastering the game, and not everyone becomes a grandmaster, even if they try very hard. I mean, yeah, you can also just apply that to the guitar. You can take two people and make them do the identical thing for the identical amount of time, and one person will be better than another person, right? Some people just learn faster at specific activities too. It's weird. Some people are just better at certain activities than others, and that's just that. I think programming has always been my it's just been my calling. I'm just able to just do it. I just feel good about it, right? It's not just about learning, it's about natural talent. It's both. Natural talent, like how I always think about it is it's very simple. There's hours you spend programming. Okay, however many hours that is. And that's multiplied by your natural talent. Some people, they're born with like a 1.5 multiplier, right? But that actually makes them weak because often their X goes down because of how high this multiplier is. Some people, they live with that like 0.3 multiplier. It's not easy for them, but their willingness to endure pain goes way up. And this gives them a whole different life multiplier. Right? Because this is an incomplete equation right here. Because it actually is going to look something more like this. I don't know what to call this one. We'll call this one CT, and I'll call this one right? We'll call this one, hold on. Yeah, I guess what do we call this one? Anyways, this is your coefficient of willingness to work through pain. Right? So this is your natural talent. This is how many hours you've put into it. But then there's some sort of multiplier that influences this. Your willingness to come back to this, your endurance. I don't know what to call it. The equation's not quite right, but there's something about X that is augmented by this. Because some people, they don't have it. Some people don't have grit, right? Exactly. Grit's the right word. And you only get grit, and often grit comes from people with lower talent, right? Constitution would be like the real fun word for it. Tarkov players. So natural talent is both a blessing and a curse. And the people that you see that are just like the magic, the true magic ones, the true prodigies, they somehow got the natural talent and they somehow got the grit at the same time. Like those are like the true magic talents of the universe because they got them both. And very few people with talent tend to have any sort of hard work. A gifted kid syndrome destroys talented people. Absolutely. 100%. I've seen it so many times, right? Yeah. There's a lot of boredom. Yeah, because we weren't taught how to learn. That's kind of a funny phrase. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, but talent and hard work always wins. There you go. I mean, that's the truest and correctest phrase. Hard work always beats talent when talent does not work hard. But if you got them both, you're freaking gifted, right? Join the stream and instantly feel called out. Good. Welcome to the club. The world has never had a greater need for programmer than it does today. It's never had a greater need for competent programmers than it does today. Let's skip over the overly self-deprecating nonsense that nobody knows what they are doing and try to learn things in depth is not for us. You are not clueless dog banging at the keyboard with no prospects of ever improving. You are a human of tremendous capacity to become good at what you do. Embrace that. Let's go. Embrace it. Embrace it. Embrace it. How old is the article? 3 years old. Not even. We still have the greatest need for programmers right now. Competent programmers, in fact, too. And that's why I've always said, when people always ask me, what should I do? Like, what project should I complete to get a job? And I always say, this isn't the way. This is not the way, my friend. Do not try to learn that way. You should be asking, what do I do to get good? Because here's the reality. Good programmers get jobs. Bad programmers get jobs too, but good ones will also get jobs. Completing some project to hopefully get a job is just setting the wrong scope to your work because this is a lifetime pursuit. This is a one-time pursuit, right? Shoot far, aim big, jump high, right? I think so many people aim too small in their life. And there's plenty of reasons why you could say they aim small in their life and all of that. I get that. There's plenty of life reasons. There's plenty of all sorts of things that happen in someone's life that dictates this. But there is just simply a long-term perspective that if you shoot far enough, you will do good. And I think C.S. Lewis has a really good quote about this. Mud Pies C.S. Lewis quote. He says something along the lines of this one. There we go. I think it's this one. It would seem that our Lord finds our desires not too strong, but too weak. We are half-hearted creatures fooling about with drink and sex and ambition when infinite joy is offered to us, like an ignorant child who wants to go on making mud pies in a slum because he cannot imagine what is meant by the offer of a holiday at sea. We are far too easily pleased. What a great quote. We are far too easily pleased. Like, you can shoot for way further. Like, it shouldn't just be the project that's going to get you a job. Like, dude, how can you become a master? How can you do something that's way bigger than just simply what's the simplest, shortest path at all times, right? I'll take all your drinks and sex if you don't want them, Chad. I know, I did just say the word sex to a bunch of Arch users, which may be confusing. So typically, I know that some of you guys may find this hard to believe, but sex happens between two people, not one. Arch users, okay? Just so you know, it's a little different. It's a little different than what you think it is. Shambles. Minimum. What? Lots of sex all the time. You don't even know it. Is sex a new JS framework? Yes. Anyways, all right. The name. The name. It's the Primogen.